What's up, guys? We're going to build a Subgun micro rig today, and it has come to our attention that the new MPX mags, there's actually two versions. The newer one is slightly bigger, and we have a client in Japan that said his is not fitting. So we have acquired MPX mags, and we're going to add a little bit of space into these cells so that it will fit the MPX mag. So at that point, it should fit everything other than a P90 mag. We do make a rig for the P90. It is called the P90 Chris chest rig, and those have bigger slots. You can put smaller mags in them for sure. The build is very different. This is the Subgun, and that's what we're going to build right here. When it's done, it'll look just like this, except this one that I'm making is actually for an order for a customer, and we're going to make all multi-chem matching Velcro and everything for it. So I'm not sure what pieces are what. I've not made one of these in a very long time, but I know that these are the mag lids. So as I tell you all the time, take the pieces that you're sure what they are and build those, and just eliminate so that you start and create less pieces. So basically I am taking this 3-inch wide Cordura. It is not sewing right, something's up. Taking this 3-inch wide Cordura and folding it and making it 1.5 inches wide. So I'm basically making webbing out of this Cordura. I don't know why that jumped out of that bobbin. This is that machine that was in the garage that I liked. Yeah, it's doing weird shit. Okay, I do not have a screwdriver. Will you grab the little screwdriver off my sewing machine? Anything else? That should be it. I thought I had everything. I have duplicates of everything out here now. Let's try this. Try to get this about center. As you see, I'm probably off by about 1/3. Won't matter on the final product. But if you get to where you can sew right in this, so it's even. You can also sew this on the inside, and then it'll be puffed up on the outside. I think it's a lot cleaner to sew this on the outside edges first. Just pop that thread again. I don't know what's going on here. There are 4 lids, so this process, I'll duplicate it 4 times. It'll all look the same. Hopefully, it'll all look the same. And this one's already down, right? So I'm just folding this with my finger, pushing it down, and you'll feel it when the edges line up, right? You can come over it or be from it, away from it, but you'll know when it's lined up. And then I just hold that there, and I'm pulling a little tension back on this strip of material at the same time, which makes it lay nice and flat. I just missed a couple stitches there. You can tell by the way the machine sounded there when it sewed and didn't go through Cordura. We'll look at that in a second. cut that. I don't know what the fuck's going on with this.
You want to cut the fresh lids and just use those for test pieces?
No, these lids will be fine. I don't know what's making this pop the thread, and it's the top thread too, which is weird. I feel like it's backlashing, maybe getting around one of these posts here. Pull up with the thread, push down with the scissors, cut it flush. There's no reason to make a lot more work for yourself. If you cut that flush, you won't have any cleanup on there. Here's where I said I'd gone off. You could tell by the way it sounded. I'm just gonna cut this out of here. Separate the piece. And then come right back here. I'm just gonna come back a couple stitches and then follow forward. I'm a couple stitches into where it started there again, and then lock it. I'm gonna pull up with the thread, push down with the scissors. Same thing on the bottom, push up with the scissors, hold the thread down. There won't be any cleanup needed there because we're gonna sew right back through all of that. I'm actually gonna sew right back through those same stitch holes even. Actually, that's just some bullshit I'm saying. I don't know whether it's gonna go through the same ones or not, but somebody was just like, oh shit. That was that bobbin winder kicking off. You just heard pop. Right into the next piece. I like to chain everything together. Not because it saves on thread. This cone of thread has miles of thread on it, but because it's way less cleanup. When you pull that work out between pieces, you now have to clip 4 threads. Like that's top and bottom. I can hold both of those, and I'm holding tension and then pulling away so that it's clean. But if you do that, and you got to do 2 pieces every one, it accumulates. You're going to make 100 extra little snips and start and stop and pull the thread out. It is much faster and it is much cleaner to chain everything in line. Even when I only need to make 1 pouch, I always make 2 pouches because it's faster, considerably faster per unit to make 2 than 1, if for no other reason, because you can chain all the pieces together. Okay, there's those lids. Now I'm going to look at these lids. Where is my pattern? If you look at this side, there is no pattern on this stuff. Like if we built this way, these guys are paying for multicam black, so I want to be cognizant where my pattern is. So I'm going to give them this side here, and this isn't even awesome, but out of these, we're going to mix and match the lids. A couple of them are gonna have way better pattern on them. Like that one's pretty good. So I love all the pattern here, but the way this lid works, it wouldn't have any. So we're gonna give them this side as the exposed side. So that's what I'm looking at right here. The offset on these is 1 inch. A lot of times, I'm surprised I made this a 1 inch offset, because usually I will make my offset the width of the material. So this is 1.5 inches, and I do my offset or my marks or whatever at 1.5 because I can just mark it with the same piece of material. But somehow these have turned into 1 inch, which just means it's staggered, right? I don't need to have all that webbing or cordura under there because we're gonna cover this with Velcro to about here, and then we're gonna have Velcro run out past the work several inches so they can adjust this. They will have plenty of adjustment inside the magazine pouch on the back. They can Velcro it down for short or more traditional mags like MP5 mags, or if they have higher capacity or taller straight mags, they can run this up and have a lot more adjustment out of these. Same similar type deal we do on our Rallyman mag pouches. We do that on a lot of stuff. Do I have that right? Yes, that is correct. Okay. This is where I had tied in. It's a little boogered up there. I don't really like it. You're not going to see it. I've also got this loop here. Let's get that out of there. Now, these. I have my finger in between here. I'm holding the bottom one and I'm holding the top one. I'm worried about this edge right here, not this edge over here. Because I made this, and your mileage may vary until you get good at doing this and making them, you might find you're a little cattywampus. I know you guys like that word. It might not be perfect. That's okay. It'll still function. I'm of the belief a lot of stuff we do right now is for the artistic value of it or the fashion value, right? Because the truth is, folding this webbing over and fabricating this 3-inch piece of cordura into a 1.5 inch piece of, webbing, and then folding this over and doubling it up, having all those clean edges, that's just for looks. Into the world, when you're making this shit in a cave by candlelight and you're hoping not to get drone struck and getting butt fucked by Bigfoot, it's not gonna matter. You could just have raw edges and they're gonna fray. There's companies right now that are making badass boonie covers and cutting the finished edge off of them and fraying them out, probably on a belt sander or even a wire brush or something. And they're charging a lot more money for that because it's tattered and it has that camo ghillie look to it, right? This material is plenty strong. Short of abrading through it, just a single piece, it would hold it in place, right? So everything we're doing here, let's be real, it's for fashion. It's not about function. But if I came out with a fully functional piece of equipment, guys would cry about it. It's not pretty. That's okay. There'll come a day you guys can't get that here, Jill. You'll have to use I don't know, that'd be pretty gross, whatever you're gonna use. I was gonna say horse cum. Welcome. All right, now this side. If this is lined up nice and you've made your webbing consistent all the way through, all I need to do now is just put tension here and it'll roll in. But you can look at it and see where your edges are and be cognizant of it. I really feel I didn't make this enough. I think because I just fold this over, right? I think I want to make my poles. Yeah, I do. I want to make them considerably larger, so I'm gonna come back at least another 1/4 inch. I would suspect I am at 1 inch. I'm just a 1/16 or a 32nd over 1 inch here. So I'm gonna make that mark. I'm gonna go ahead and make them at 1.5. That'll give you a nice, good purchase here with gloves or without. And you can even take and run 550 through this channel. We've even seen guys put 9mm brass and then hand stitch them just so they have a nice tactile feel. So let's go ahead and run this down since we're in here anyways. I'm going to address that in a minute. Let's go ahead and run into the next one here. Be careful cutting that. Once you cut the web of your hand here, it takes forever to heal and it bleeds a lot. When you're sewing this stuff and you're putting band-aids on your hands and stuff, it's not for your hand. It's to keep your blood off the product. Okay. I have that, or I have this, which is less. So let's go with this. This is the back, this is the front. 1 inch offset. Finger in between. You'll figure out your technique. You'll figure out how you want to do this and how it feels right to you. Now I want to make that channel at 1.5. That's what real speed looks like. Not that I'm not, that's what normal speed sewing and not slowing down to talk to the camera looks like. Let's get, I don't know where my hook Velcro is. Cody, you still in here? Oh, I got it right here. I got it.
3-inch cottage, right?
Yeah, it's the 3-inch. I didn't see it in the shadow over here. All right. I'm going to sew this on here, and then I'm going to make that fold. That hook Velcro just cut this thread. The thread might be the problem. Fix that. I guess that's the one. I fixed it already. I did cut it out, I guess.
The only thing you gotta do is widen the loop on that one?
Nope, I didn't. That's what's throwing me off. I just sewed that on there and I did not widen that loop. All right. It's the back one, yeah. I'm just gonna take this one up to there. No, I don't want to do that. I do want it wider. All right. Alright, let's just fix this problem before I forget it. You will get good at using this razor blade. I know you pussies have seam rippers and all kinds of stuff, but get good at using the razor blade. You can buy a package of 100 of them for nothing. What I mean by that is you'll get to a point where you can just cut that out. You'll cut the stitches without messing up the Velcro or any of the work. You'll also go back and kind of scrape that, and all that will come out of there. That is bigger. All right, we're gonna put that right there, so they're even. All right, we're gonna do it again and flip this over, so that's proper direction. There we go. All right, we're gonna set that one over there. So that's our master. We're gonna make all the marks off of that one. If you have 10 of something and you make mark to mark to mark to mark, by the time you get to the bottom, you'll have shift that's considerably different than the first. And that's what I mean by make that one the master. Boy, none of these lids are great. There's very little pattern on this. They'll look good once we put the Velcro on.
Is this your old machine that came off of your actual station?
No. This is the one that was out in the garage that we were using for last year or so. This was my machine at one time. Like, I've had this machine for 20 plus years. I do like these. These Nakajimas they're super smooth. At least the ones I have are super smooth. When guys are always like, what should I buy? I just tell them Conso 206, which is the same thing as this, but much more available. If I told guys buy a Nakajima, they'd be looking around forever and not find one. Yeah, I want this on the other side. All right. You know the Pressman Pullman house?
I don't think so. Like the tuberculosis place?
So they say it was, but it's not. Pressman Pullman was for pressmen, for like learning how to do like newsprint and shit.
Yeah, I've been there a bunch.
Burnt down, you know,
Yeah,
right?
I've been there.
So how burnt down is it?
So across the street from the old Pressman home and the church, completely gone. There's the old fire station where you can still go into, and it's got some stair casing and stuff like that. But I went into the church, and some of the actual old painting is still there, but the floor is completely gone, and there's like a little basement that you can fall through.
What about the major building?
The
big
major
one?
building they're welding out of. There's a welding school that goes on in the upstairs of it.
So I've seen a lot of people say they go there and they get met by the groundskeeper with a fucking
There's
shotgun.
cameras everywhere.
Why so high security?
So he wouldn't let me film, but he took me through it.
How bizarre.
And they have army vehicles outside of it everywhere that are abandoned.
Really?
Yeah. It's really cool, though. The whole area is really cool to walk around.
I just want to be friends with him. Like, I'm not trying to do any shady shit. I just want to, like, I'd love to interview him and, like, know the actual history and everything. Because you see so much online, but you never know what's true, you know?
So there's only one way in and one way out.
The main gate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when I got in there,
because it's in a valley.
he was already chasing me.
Yeah.
You know? And by the time I got to the Pressman home, like, building, he was already like, hey, man, I already know what you're doing. You can't be here. And he was like, so I started talking to him and just being friendly with him. And he's like, I can show you around in here, but there's kids actually working. And he's like, you just can't film.
I'd just be like, for $1,000, can we film?
All the, like, a lot of the stuff is still in there, like in the bottom area.
The
It's
type,
just,
yeah.
When you go upstairs, it's all welding fabrication stuff. The church is the best part of it, though. You get to see.
Is that Chattanooga or Gatlinburg or where is it?
It's very far east.
I feel like we've driven past it doing something. I think we set out to go there or something. There's so many people online, especially in like the Urbex groups and stuff, where they'll just tell you something and they've never actually been there. They're just repeating some shit they heard.
Yeah. It's in Rogersville.
Rogersville.
So from here, it's about 6 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right next to Johnson City.
There's a lot of shit in Johnson City. That name comes up all the time. When I'm looking on Marketplace or something, there's always shit in Johnson City.
It's like the Tri-Cities.
Is that why?
Yeah, it's like Johnson City, Bristol, and that leads like right into West Virginia and Virginia.
All right, so here's the lids. The pattern actually is not as bad as I thought it was. That's the face. That's what you're going to primarily see the most of. That's what's going to draw the eyes in. So there's that. Now let's, I know that these two here are panels, the main panel. So let's go ahead and put those together, eliminate this piece, these pieces here. And this is just back to back. For a long time, I never wanted to sew through a single layer of Cordura. And now, 35 years later, after never seeing Cordura rip, and that was 1,000, right? This is 500. So we've got this backed up. This is the outside of the panel. This is the inside of the panel right here. So you're going to have 4 mags and a 6x6 utility pocket, basically. This costs much more than this. So we back it up with just a similar color. So black. And a lot of times you can get seconds to where we used to pay like $6 for solid colored Cordura. And now you're closer to $9, $10. But we can get seconds and blemishes, which generally, and you can ask them like, why is this a second? Why is this a blemish? And they'll be like, the coating was off in a couple places, but you won't see it. Like you almost never do we get seconds where you're like, oh, that's why this is a second. So we put black or coyote or something inside. You'll see for a long time, for years, we were putting ACU inside because we got a bunch of that gray digital camo and we were getting it for like $2 a yard. For years, I was putting 6-color chocolate chip inside of stuff because I got it for $2 a yard. And now, like, shit, I wish I had a couple rolls of that stuff. Okay. This is going to be magazines. This is going to be utility pocket lid. And this is going to be utility pocket. So let's eliminate these pieces. This is how I make the lid on this. And the reason I do this, I'll show you. This is more sewing, and everything you have sewing costs money. So a lot of companies, to include us for years, I just put a patch of 3-inch Velcro here, and this lid would hit it. But then you had to put a pull tab here, and you either had to put a big pull tab or a small pull tab, and small pull tab was hard to find in the dark or grab, especially gloves, textile feel, cold water, cold ice, snow, weather, your fingers, your dexterity is not as good. So I do this on a lot of things now, and it's more labor. Labor costs more than material. And we sew this on and sew this on, and then this comes across. Why is this one piece? Because it is faster and cheaper to sew on one piece than 2 individual pieces. It's also cleaner. So this just sits here. Now I have this channel here, and you can rip this open. We've been doing these like this for almost 20 years now. And I really like the way this works here. And you're always gonna have somebody, when you start building shit, somebody's gonna scream, "Oh my God, the Velcro, it's gonna get you killed." Well, I mean, this is gun business, and you're already expended 30 rounds of ammo or whatever. You don't like that? Then your client who is complaining about that Velcro, you can put toggles or elastic spring hooks or a button with bungee or magnets. I hear magnets all the time. Fucking, the only motherfuckers screaming magnets are dudes who haven't really used magnets for real. But if you're the magnet guy, if you've got that magnet client, then by all means, fucking magnet away. Everybody wants something different. The magnet guy, he's so high speed and ninja that he's carrying his debit card and credit cards around with him. And his magnet just erased all his shit. Is that still a thing? Does that happen? Because we're going away from magnets now, right? We're going away from the strip. It's all, everything is a chip now.
Well, everything's a chip, and the thing with magnets was when you have mechanical hard drives, there's a metal like disc in there, and that's what they were fucking up. So you get it near a magnet, it scratches the shit out of that surface.
Well, it was demagnetizing debit cards, the strip on them. Yeah. All right, so this here, we're just gonna hem this in. I think it's right. If not, this guy's rig's gonna be worth a lot more money because it's not the same as all the others. It is right, of course it's right. Pretty much the best at exercising. You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you?
999.
You're thinking Anchorman. Huh?
What are you saying?
Kenny Powers.
Okay.
Yeager's like, you know, they pretty much based that movie on my life. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Yeah, Dodgeball's fucking really good. Mike Sotelo. I remember Mike Sotelo coming over to the house and a couple of them dudes, and they had just gone and seen Borat.
Oh, shit.
And then we went and saw Borat that night. Holy shit, that was hilarious. My sister, number 2 prostitute, all Kazakhstan. My cousin Bilo, he have funny retardation. All right, now, from here, we're gonna fold this in. Again, be cognizant, I'm being cognizant of where my pattern is. and bonus points if the branding, I know, some of these guys are like, shut the fuck up. People pay for that. People pay a lot of money for that. So that's gonna be the side with the pattern. This is gonna be the back, and I'm gonna offset this a little bit here like this, because I don't want this raw edge here, and I don't want to have to edge tape it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stand it off a little less than 1/2 inch, and I'm going to hem this over, and then we're going to sew it on this edge, and we're going to sew the second line high enough that it conceals this raw edge so that it's tucked inside. Does it matter? It doesn't. It's just attention to detail. I had a kid, I say kid, I had I'm sure it was a man, an adult, get some burlap. And I don't know how he stiffened it. I'm guessing he sprayed his burlap with clear spray paint. And then he made a full armor carrier. And he stapled it together to send me a sample of what he wanted sewn. Maybe it was a chest rig, not an armor carrier. I don't remember. I have it still at the other building. And that was the coolest. Like, I've had drawn on napkins, I've had crayons, I've had people like cardboard boxes taped, like model builders like that. It was really cool. But this dude made a whole, I made it with a chest rig. He made the whole thing out of this stiffened burlap. And that was some, like, I thought that was so, I'm talking about it today, 20 years later. That was one of the coolest. So that just goes to my point. You could make this shit out of almost anything. And there might come a time when you're building gear that looks like Huck Finn or, you know, Davy Crockett.
I'm about to bring me some burlap. I'm about to make me a rig.
I see burlap all the time. Like, burlap used to be kind of hard to find. And now I see burlap like at Walmart, and I was at Hobby Lobby because we're getting some 3D print element, some filament. And they had burlap there. And I thought, and everything I see it, I'm like, oh, we should build ghillie suits. Okay, so there's that. That's the lid for the utility pocket. That's the concealment I'm talking about. So when I sew this in, I'm gonna sink it into the pocket about 1/2 inch. We're just gonna sew it across here and then up here and then down. Now, something we used to do, but guys weren't really using it anymore. When we used to sew these lids on, we would sew them, we would tack them here and then come across single stitch and tack them and come across single stitch and tack them and come across and then tack them. Those single stitches were there because you could bust through there with a knife, butter knife, razor blade, whatever. And you could run cabling and zip ties up and down and through there, different things. Guys don't really use it. You could still do that even if you had like 3 stitches across. It's gonna hold pretty damn well even if you cut the stitching and you leave a lot of the stitching in. You can make a space, like just think of that. You can also cut the Cordura. Soldering gun is better, soldering iron works. X-Acto knife or razor blade, slice it, and then ideally you burn it, but you don't even have to burn it. Like we were talking yesterday about cutting slots and stuff in just non-laminate Cordura. And Cody's like, let's just ovalize it. Like, so there's no, instead of doing squares or rectangles, let's just fish mouth it. Then you're not gonna have any right angle where it's gonna tear. You're not gonna really have a tear point in it. So there's that. Let's go ahead, put this piece of Velcro. We know that long piece, that's all it can be. Hopefully I sewed this the right size. We're about to find out. I know it's the right size. I invented this shit. All right, right here. I like to sew the short side first instead of the long side, just because the long side's gonna stretch. It's gonna have some movement to it. So I've already tacked that short side in. I'm gonna run right down here. I'm about a grain past. Cody cut stuff like spot on. Like, you want to have somebody prep your work, like that's your man. I'm not even gonna have to trim that. Now, you will see a lot of companies that put a line up the middle. Most of them have no fucking idea why they're putting a line up the middle. For a long time, anything over 1 inch, I would sew a line up the middle. Did we do it on this? We did not. Why is that? Well, that's so if the first line comes undone, you have the second line backing it up. I've never seen the first line. If that line comes undone, we got some bigger problems. So I don't do it. We used to do it. We used to even, like, if you looked at old Eagle stuff, all their 1 inch webbing would have an X through, even like a 1 inch piece of Velcro, 1x1 hook, they'd have an X in it, or there'd be a line down the center. And we did that because Eagle was the best. And if they were doing it, I was gonna do it. And then years later, when I talked to John Carver, owner of Eagle, founded Eagle, I asked him about that, and he said, oh, that's just the program that was in the tacker. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, we had programmable tackers. It only sewed that, and it came with that in there, so that's why we had it. So we were doing all this shit forever, and it just doesn't need it. Like, a lot of times we do things, and it's like the story, like, you can only build, the best peach cobbler only comes out of a cast iron pan. You can't build it, it has to be cast iron. And then your grandma tells you that, and then your mom tells you and teaches you, and then you tell somebody, and you're like, but why? And then you go back and you ask, and you're like, well, because aluminum didn't exist. They only had cast iron back then. Like, you don't know why you're doing it, you just know you're doing it. So there's that. That's the lid. Let's go ahead and fabricate the utility pocket. And I think we edge tape this. We do edge tape it. We do. It's gonna be nice. 1,000 points of light coming at you, Saddam. And you could take this also, you could put a piece of webbing inside here to stiffen it up so it holds its shape. You could put a piece of webbing inside between the two, or you can put it on the outside. You will look at some of our micro rigs, like our AKM4 micros, and they have webbing to hold the mag pouches stiffer, and it's on the outside. Why is it on the outside? It's on the outside because those rigs are meant to hold AK mags also, and that AK mag will catch that lip and rip that out of there. A lot of our stuff that we do, like this Subgun subload right here, is sewn folded over, so there's 3 layers of Cordura here, and that hem is to the outside. Because if you're ever gonna have a locking lug on any of those mags catch, like on a 1022 for instance, it's gonna run this on the inside and it's eventually gonna pop this stitch line. If it's on the outside, it gives you the rigidity to hold the mouth open, but it alleviates that warranty problem because it's not to the inside and there's nothing for that to catch on. And that's why that's like that. Now we built this rig to be simple. And when we built these rigs, the first AKM4 micro rigs we sold for the first year or so were $65. They're $150 and above now. That's because I was dumb and I didn't do the business part of the business. We just built that and I said, what does the market bear? What could we sell it at? And we came out at 75 bucks. They weren't moving. We dropped them to 65 and they turned on and started moving, and we did hundreds and hundreds. And then we creeped the price up to 75 and we creeped it up to 85. And when we raised our prices, we never told anybody we raised our prices. If you look at the slings, our first slings were 35 and then they were 55 and then they were 75. We never announced it, but once the sales were turned on, the sales never went off by raising the price. But by lowering the price and saying, hey, we lowered our price, the sales poured in and we couldn't even keep up with the orders. I'm pulling in opposite directions. So I'm pulling this across and down. And this is the last side. There's nowhere for it to go, but I'm still gonna push any pillowing or air or wrinkles out of there. And that's gonna be right there. We're gonna chop that off. We're gonna go ahead and put our binder attachment on, our edge taper, our sewing attachment. There's a guy I follow on Instagram, Ken Steven Design. And I've watched him, and he's an incredible craftsman. I enjoy watching his content. And I didn't make a video a couple mornings ago, and he commented on my video, and he's like, I got up looking for your morning video and you didn't make one. And I was super stoked to see that he was commenting on my posts. And anyways, he was setting up an edge taper, and I said, man, for the first 5 or 10 years, I didn't even know that a binder attachment existed. I would take edge tape. Speaking of which, where is my edge tape? Here we go, we got a little roll here. I would take edge tape and I would crease it. I would just hold it and I would rock back, I roll back and forth like this. That's why if you look at even this table, it's rolled, it's rounded. And I had gym equipment in the garage at Mom's house, and we would run across that gym equipment on the sharp edges to the point where the metal was no longer sharp. I can take you to the shop, the old shop, and that gym equipment is in there. We moved it from San Diego here, and you'll see that it was Nautilus equipment, like old school Nautilus, not the chrome stuff. It was painted white like this, but now it's faded and it's kind of like an off-white color. But you'll see how it's sharp right angles, and then there's this section that's just raw, fucking polished. It's probably rusted now, but it's rounded. And it's a trip how this soft edge tape, this nylon, over repetitiveness and doing it so many times, it literally rounded the metal off. But this here, I don't know what these cost. I just bought a few of them. I don't know what they cost though. These were 35 bucks. And you can get swing out ones and right angle binders. Look into those. They'll make your life a lot easier. I say that as a guy who has never made my life easier. I probably should look into them. We're still just using, these work pretty good. We do have attachments in the building that cost thousands of dollars to have them made. Chattanooga attachments, I believe. Tennessee attachments. I think there's an Atlanta attachment company, and they'll build you. You just tell them what you want. You could also go like through Collier Equipment. Collier is just a great set of dudes over there. Family business. I think they're like 3rd going into 4th generation. One of the true like original sewing machine guys. We used to look in the yellow pages in San Diego and you'd see, you know, sewing machine or a commercial sewing machine, thousands of machine in stock. And we would drive there. And it was always like going to Mexico almost. You'd be somewhere near Mexico, but not quite in Mexico. And you'd go in there and it'd be a bungalow, like an old bungalow you used to go to, like when you were in trouble at school and you had to go to the bad kid classes. And you'd go in and you're like, where's all your machines at? And they're like, oh, that's in the other warehouse. But you never saw thousands of machines. Collier has thousands of machines. Like Nico, when we walked in Nico the first time, especially coming from these little places in San Diego, when we walked in Nico, it was like a Walmart, but taller. And like there was 3 forklifts running around full time in there moving machines. There literally were thousands of machines. Machines that I just stood there for 3 hours. He's probably like, man, I hope this motherfucker leaves soon. I'm like, what's this one do? What's this one do? And they had these machines to make parachutes that had these little compact heads on them, and they would move around a track. They had like a frame rail. It was just like, it's cool to see stuff that you're not sure what it is. Anyways, this edge tape, the multicam edge tape, this comes from MMI. You can also get it from Texcell. They're a little different products. MMI is a good set of dudes. I don't have much relationship with Texcell, but MMI is good to deal with. Good people, very reactive. And you can set this to where you see the multicam or you don't see it. And that's why I cut this off so that I could sew it on in a manner. You could also sew the product upside down. Just like that. If you got a double needle, you just did it all in one pass. I actually like this side better. So this guy's not gonna get the branding on this piece here. So everything I just did there was for nothing. Forget I said that if this is your rig and you're watching it. That did not happen. These are not the droids you're looking for. Here's full speed. That's how fast the machine will actually sew. I actually do everything at that speed.
Oh, you think so?
Except this fucking light. We got these $400 lights that keep turning themselves off. Because I went too fast. It took too much energy. It sucked the electricity out of the air. I don't know what world you guys are living in, but we operate on free energy. Tesla. Poor. All right. Now, we're going to put that side forward. We're going to go ahead and hem these on the sides. So where we sew these on, we're actually sewing them through 4 layers of material. Do I put a pleat in this? I do put a pleat. So we're actually sewing through 8 layers of material plus the 2 of the panel. That's 10. Completely not necessary. That's when guys are like, home machine. Yeah, you can do a lot on a home machine, learning especially, and you can start fabricating for, you know, a couple $100. But you will wear that machine out with stuff like this, right? I did it. I did a Mitsubishi 130E sewing machine, which is a lightweight machine, not a walking foot, which this is. And right here, this is 4 layers of material where we pleat this right there, right? Where we're gonna sew through here, that's 12 layers of material. Plus sewing it on the panel, that's 14 layers of material. And I worked for the first 5 years on that lightweight machine, and that was 1,000 denier cordura, so it was way thicker than this stuff. So when you're going through heavy stuff, you're just gonna kind of hand sew it. You're just gonna, if you touch the pedal, right now it's tight. If I touch the pedal, it disengages the clutch kind of. This doesn't have a clutch. This is actually a servo motor, but. All right, we're gonna go, what is the spacing on this? I think it's probably 6 inches. Six inches, yes, to the outside. Much longer than most of your penises. We have to make dick jokes because we're dudes. If you're a chick, it's okay. You can make fun of all those dudes too. Your she penis is bigger than their dicks. 5.5, all right. Now we're gonna go from there. We're gonna make marks at 3 and 6. I'm gonna use my calibrated eyeball and just shoot straight down. Right there. That gives me my marks for my Velcro that I forgot to sew under this edge tape. This guy's rig is gonna be super special. He's gonna love it. Why? I fought with myself for a long time, and I still do. Do we sew this Velcro under this edge tape to where it's cleaner and more concealed? Or do we leave it exposed so that if we have to warranty it, we can take this and just simply take the Velcro off and not have to unedge tape it? The real answer is cut the Velcro off, cut it where it's under the edge taping, and put a new piece on top. But those are real conversations, and I pulled back and forth. You'll see product that had it underneath, and you'll see product that had it on top. And the truth is, putting it underneath does look cleaner, and it's easier for manufacturing. You can be faster and a little more sloppy with the Velcro because you're going to hide it with 1/2 inch of edge tape. And to a guy making this stuff a piece at a time, it doesn't matter. And I know you're saying it doesn't matter. If you stick with it, it will matter. It will come into play where putting an extra piece of Velcro on there. Hey, can I add this extra piece of Velcro over here? I know it shouldn't take you like a couple minutes, but the truth is, it's $5, and if you're charging $5, it's really $10 is what you need to charge to recoup what that cost. Even though it did take a minute, you have to be cognizant of, you know, you're paying the material costs a couple, you know, pennies. Well, nowadays it probably costs $1. And then you're paying a dude that's cutting it, and then they're giving it to production, and production, so like it all adds up. It really does. So there's that. I take from here and I sew this in here, right here. I sew right down here. And we don't have to. Totally don't have to do that. It just gives it that box appearance. And when it's on the rig empty, it sucks back in. It's just a little clean. It makes like that hourglass. Somebody, and I love the comment. Somebody goes, man, watching all of your videos, just this piece about the hourglass made it worth it to watch everything I've watched. And I didn't know what he was talking about. So I actually went back and watched that 6-pack pistol build video to see. And when I said it pulls it in like an hourglass, that's what he was talking, and that's what I'm talking about right here. I thought that was, thank you for the comment. I thought that was awesome. I love it when people watch and actually take something away from it, or, you know, leave a comment, you know, that they actually know. How many times you meet a guy, you meet an author and you're like, man, I love your books. He's like, oh yeah, which one did you like the most? Or which chapter was, and you're like, oh, he caught me. I haven't read none of his shit. I've never done that, but I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
It's like band t-shirts. When you're wearing a band shirt you don't want to listen to.
Yeah.
And it comes up and you're like, oh, you like that band? What's your favorite song?
Yeah. That never happens to me. I was too poor to buy band t-shirts, even though I never went to a concert because I was too poor. Then when I had money, you're like, this really sounds like shit. I could buy every fucking CD they ever put out and not come listen to this shitty concert.
Cottonmouth Kings are playing Knoxville.
Are they really?
Mm-hmm.
All of them? Who's in
Actually,
the
Clarksville.
Who's in the band now?
I don't know. It says Cottonmouth Kings on the flyer, and it's a Halloween show.
You're gonna get fucking totally stoned there. I can't go to that. I've never even been stoned, but I know that I know.
The Cottonmouth Kings, you're still.
Well, I mean, like, you're gonna smell it a mile away. I like all their music that's not about smoking weed. It's all about smoking weed, but their music that was more about, you know, when it was all about smoking weed, like, it, not my thing.
I've never met anyone with my brother that actually knew who they were.
Really?
Yeah, until you.
We rode dirt bikes with a few of them dudes in San Diego. Johnny Richter. All right, so there's that. We need a grommet. We're gonna have to get a grommet press out here.
Or you just get a little portal that you jump into, and then it comes out right there.
We could be super high speed and just get a buttonholer. We'll get a machine that does absolutely nothing but sew a little 1/4-inch circle and embroider around the circle. The truth is, guys, if you don't, like, we did hand set grommets for the first, till we moved to Tennessee. Like, I didn't have an actual, did I have? I did in San Diego, in Oceanside, because Matt cut the tip of his finger off. But for 10 years probably, we would use a hand setter, and we still used a number 4 grommet. It's a big grommet. And the first 50,000 grommets we put in were probably just plain brass, and we would hit them with a Sharpie, or we would set them out and paint them and then put them in place, and it would chip the paint, and then we'd Sharpie it. Our grommets now are brass. Are they brass? I think they're brass. They're black oxided brass. But we used a hand setter from Walmart in Oceanside, camping store, whatever, and we would literally hit that fucking, it would mushroom the head down on the hand setter, and then pieces would break off, and then it'd be brand new again because it was back to just the stub until we couldn't hold it, and then we'd get another one. And you can buy them, like, no bullshit, you can buy them at Walmart or any outdoor store for not much money, but you'll find places, index fasteners, where you want to get them. Index fastener, they'll have a hand setter, they'll have grommets, and what you don't know too is you can get grommets that are self-piercing, so the grommet is sharpened, but you have to buy that and that die set. We use kick presses. They have them where you just push a button and it shoots it right through, right? They have a piercing die, a setting die. You can get grommets that are sharpened so they self-pierce, but that tends to get the circle cut out up in the thing. So you can also, anyways, what I'm telling you is, if you don't have grommets, you can simply burn a hole in here with a soldering iron and then wallow it out, and you can embroider pretty well. You can, you know, or get a serger or a buttonholer, like your mom's sewing machine has a buttonhole attachment. You can buy old sewing machines out of factories, like a buttonhole, you can buy them for a couple $100, and that's all that thing does. And I think they even cut the hole. But just be aware, like that stuff's everywhere on Marketplace. And if there's something you're not sure of, or you wonder if it exists, or you think you've came up with this invention of some new thing for the sewing industry, if you talk to Collier Equipment over there, they'll burst your bubble and tell you that motherfucker's existed for like 100 years, and they have one. So anyways, that's Grommets. So there's that. Brandle's like, man, I wish you'd shut up. We can get this all done.
I love Grommets.
I love Grommets.
When I was a kid, I bought one of those little, it was like, it's probably the same thing. It's like a leather set that you would punch holes in and put little buttons and stuff.
Yeah.
I would just do it to everything.
Yeah, so it comes from, you could buy Tandy. Tandy Leather will have a hand setter. I don't like this line here. If you look at it, if you feel this, feel it. Not with your hand, with my hand. See how you feel it's like straight lined?
Yeah.
That's because of the hook Velcro. I'm gonna put some tension on here, and I'm gonna sew back through it from this side. But I'm gonna catch the exact same hole, so you won't know there's two lines of stitching here. See? Not really, you can't tell. It didn't hit the same holes probably anyways.
But it's good enough that you don't even know.
It's good enough that you don't know.
Oh, I know.
I was here when it happened.
I know.
All right, so there's that. Client will never know. Looks good. So the refrigerator is off?
Yeah.
Are the drinks in the refrigerator warm or cold still? It's Brandle's damn remote for these new fancy lights. The remote turned the refrigerator off. Ha! See, Amanda? She's like, why do you need a big ass refrigerator? I go, because it doesn't hold enough drinks. So is it out? Or is just the light out? Okay. I guess we get the Red Bull freezer after all. We need Red Bull to send this one. All right, so this hem for the mags is more than 1.5 inches, but less than 1 inch. Why is that? It's because I just freehand it. So that's what we're gonna do here. About that much. You can mark it. You can mark it at 1 inch or however you wanna do it. On a long run like this, I usually do a single layer. You could even do both in the same pass, fold it over twice. But I find I get shift, like over here it'll be big and down here it'll be small. So on a long run, especially if I'm just building a single piece of something, they also make an attachment that when you push your Cordura through, it folds it over, hems it twice. I never can get them even with that thing. So there's that. That's that first pass there. We'll go ahead and hem this over again. Now there's 3 layers here. The raw edge is concealed inside. And what I'm doing is I'm just pushing this right to where that bite is. I want this piece right in the bite. So this stitch goes through 3 layers of Cordura. And I'm looking at the work as 1 inch or 2 at a time, couple inches. Now, you can totally go from there to here and sew it coming down this way, or you can cut it and come back the same direction you already came. It's just whatever you're comfortable with. I guess it also depends what foot you have on here. A lot of sewing machines will have a big foot on one side and a smaller on the other. These are about even. It's a little smaller on the inside. I have always just sewn, if you look in the shop, there's probably 30 machines in there. And there's different feet on different machines. I've never changed a foot out on a machine. I've always just used whatever it came with. Did you already punch that grommet?
Yeah.
That was fast. Did you run?
No.
For people that don't know, this podcast room here is in a tiny house. It's not so tiny. I mean, it's 14 by 40. And the snap presses are way over there in that building.
Probably 100 yards.
On the back far side of the building. Yeah, it's at least, because you can shoot 200 out here, I think.
Yeah, I thought we had 100 from the back of the building to where the targets currently are.
You think so? I thought it was a little further. I thought we could shoot, I thought Jeff said we could do 300 from the driveway to the back of the property. I thought that's what that was.
I don't know.
Okay, so now I'm just sewing the perimeter. I've got my 3 layers here. The hem, that's the top of the mag pouches. Hem to the outside. Now I'm just hemming along. And when you make your patterns, some of that will be dependent. If you look at my hems versus what sew floor does, what production does, a lot of their hems will be bigger depending on the skill. So when I make a new product and I hand it off to like Miranda, for instance, well, that's really who I hand everything to. She'll sew it and hers will come out a little bit different than mine. And that's when we'll go, okay, this is usually before we've made patterns. Everything's on paper. So when we go to make final patterns, I'll build something once or twice, 3 times, get my changes made to where I want it, and then give her the exact same set, the final set I made. And when she sews it, hers might come out a little shorter because her hems are bigger, and that's where we'll add a 1/4 inch into the pattern or whatever. So when I design a product and then it goes to production, we made hundreds of them, when I come back and sew off of the final pattern set, a lot of times, if you look at the first one I made, which is now the sample out on the floor, versus the one I made months later or years later, might be off by a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch, because that's how I sew versus how they sew. And I can make a small hem and have it nice and clean and consistent, whereas some of the sewers in there, they can, but it would take them a lot longer to do it. So I guess what I'm saying with that is just be cognizant of what your capabilities are, and you can adjust your final patterns to make it easier for you or faster. Now, we know these are 4 mags. We have added 3 inches now from a year ago. We added 2 inches in, which added a 1/2 inch per mag cell. We have now added another inch, which adds another 1/4, so that it will fit the MPX mags. Because this is 4, we can just find center on this, because I don't have a ruler beyond 12 here. So, and also, if you're going inches, I always like a ruler that has inches and centimeters, because I'm at 9.5 and 1/8. But what you will find is if it doesn't fit into inches, it'll almost always fit into centimeters, and it's way easier to divide. So I'm right there at 24, so I'm gonna make a mark at 12 and 12, and I'm gonna come over here and I'm at 24, so 12 here, and there's my marks. So how wide are these mag cells? Let's see. 12 centimeters, we are at 4 3/4, which, adding the inch in, I would bet that these are 4 1/2. Let's see, roughly. There to there. I've shifted that ruler. All right, let's just do this. We are, math me out. I'm at like 1, 1 1/2, and another 1, 2 1/2. That can't be right. That's more. 1 1/4. So 2 1/2, 3 1/2. What did I say? 1 1/4. So 2 1/2, 4. And these are, yeah, so we're adding, we actually are, this is an old rig, that's why this is smaller. gonna work just fine. It's just gonna be the tip. We're gonna give him this fancy schmancy multicam black Velcro right here. He's gonna love it. He's gonna show his friends. And they're gonna be like, how come I don't have multicam black Velcro? You will get to the point where you don't need to make these marks. You can just eyeball it. Right there. You can also connect your dots if you want to. That way it's easier to line these up. Or you can just eyeball that right there. You'll get good at this. You probably won't, but the other thing too is if you look at this and it's completely crooked, when you sew it on into those cells, you really won't see it. I'll see it, but most people wouldn't see it. I can literally, you've seen me do it, I'll walk through the sew floor and be like, that's crooked right there.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's not crooked. I'm like, measure it, I promise you. It's fucking, it's off by a 1/4 inch. This printed Velcro seems to have more pile to it, right? It's spongier. Why does that matter? Well, what's nice about it is your stitching sits down inside, because what's going to rip this, right? Your Velcro attaches here, and the only thing that's going to happen is if you were to catch that thread and rip that repetitively, you might eventually damage that. But if you're tensioned properly, your stitches are way down inside that Velcro, and that's not a possibility. Because I do typically sew across the top. I lock it in, I start at the top, come around and finish at the top, and then travel. But if you're concerned about it, you could just, tack it back a couple of times if it's a worry to you, or even a thought about it. Now, this Velcro is branded. I'm sure one of you guys can tell me it's every 12 inches or 18 inches or 6 inches or whatever. You'll see that we only have that multicam branding on one piece. Maybe that matters to you, maybe it doesn't. When we're doing bigger projects, especially like war bags and stuff, we will cut and be cognizant as to where that branding is, because I want that to appear on some of the branding. But save all your pieces, like the multicam Velcro costs a lot more than normal Velcro. And we use pieces down to 2 inches. So save your box, accumulate it, sort your shit out, because you'll end up like us. We have 10 years of accumulation in this building, which Brandel has seen. We're cleaning out the back bay, which is 20 by 20. Maybe they're 25 by 25. That's where that laser's going. And there is bins and bins. There is $50,000 worth of in cuts and pieces of Cordura. We have, like, what is one of those 20-gallon bins weigh, Cody? Probably 40 pounds?
Some of them are up to 50 or 60, like just the heavy ones.
Yeah, it accumulates, man. That stuff you're gonna throw away. And then again, like, what's it cost to sort it out? So my point to all that was kind of sort it out as you're going.
Keep the big pieces, all the tiny stuff that you think you're going to use for that little shit, don't even worry.
Yeah, because sorting through that, you have to pay man hours. And then cutting that small stuff, you have to pay man hours. Depends on, are you operating under scarcity or are you operating under prosperity, right? My grandma lived through the end of the, like, well, her parents were from the Great Depression. So my mom was kind of raised as though, you know, limited things and can and save everything. And I remember my grandfather, he saved every jar and container, as did my grandmother. And that's passed down to me. I guess I'm successful enough now that I have buildings to hide all that shit, except if I don't do a very good job hiding it. All right, there's the mag cells. There's the utility pocket. Our lid is down there. Now we come to the main panel, which we're gonna sew all of this onto. How wide? We are correct, this is the right direction. And do we want that one side is gonna be concealed, one side is gonna be towards the back. Let's put the more pattern towards the back where you will see it. So this will be the front. On this lid here, let's go ahead and get rid of this. I think we're 2 inches up right here. There's that branding again we were talking about. We'll put that right there nice and primary. They're still here. Now this larger piece of Velcro here being 3 inches, I will go ahead and put a line through the center of that. Why? I don't have a reason why. No, I'm just messing with you. Because when you put things on this Velcro and they tend to pull away, they'll pillow up. So if we put the line down there, it keeps that from happening. What would guys put here that might do that? 6-round shotgun cards. They might put a 6-round shotgun card on there, and that has some weight and it will travel. It'll pull apart like that and kind of bounce. I've also got this on here a little crooked. And because this is going to a real customer and you will see this, I'm going to slice this off of here and resew it. I am really working in the shadows over here. I like to have a ridiculous amount of light. And the more light you have, the brighter light you have, the more shadows. So I end up adding a light to fill the shadow. And we just don't have all the lighting in here yet that I want. I need some backlight back here behind me. Plus, if I wore glasses, it would probably help. By doing this and pulling all these out now, it keeps them from standing tall later and looking like you have a stitch that's popped. You will also see right here, you do not want this. See how close I sewed to the edge here? Can you see the needle holes through here? I am very close to the edge here. You want to come in like this right here, where these are. This is really good. This here is really good. This right here, not so good. So let's put this back on. And I want to line it up. And even if your ruler says you're not perfect from edge to edge here. What's really going to stand out to the eye is this stitch line. So we want to make sure we're lined up off that stitch line right there. And again, maybe that matters, maybe it doesn't. Especially if you guys are making like your own gear. None of that shit matters. I'm sewing that on, where's that branding? Is that on the bottom? Yeah, we're good. You'll see that from a distance, you can see this says multicam. When you look at it up close, it's very, very distorted. This is printed. They print the webbing, the Velcro. I've not seen how they do that, but I suspect it's a die cut roller. Hey, look up MMI, Cody. Find it. Where are they at? What state? We should go there. Brooklyn?
Brooklyn, Ohio.
Brooklyn, Ohio. Well, that's better than Brooklyn, New York.
That's true.
Bob's in Ohio. He probably knows somebody there. Whenever I meet a guy from Alaska, I'm like, do you know Bob from the State Troopers? From Alaska State Trooper? They're like, no, Alaska's a very big place. I'm like, well, I figured you know him. I mean, you're both from Alaska. All right. I guess we'll get the rest of all these pieces here. We have all of this Velcro. I don't like to bring it up because it sticks to each other. I normally have another work table, like how you set up your workspace too. If you look at Full Tang Tactical, I'm really kind of like fanboying on those guys lately. He looks like he's working like in his walk-in basement. He's got a real nice workspace, walkout basement, but he's got a lot of tables set up head to head, and he's got a nice run-out table. It looks like he's got tables side by side on both sides, and I think he's got something in the middle. And that's pretty nice having that set up. But how you do your workspace, you can also, if you're using one chair, you can just simply turn to this machine and have it, you're set up in a U shape also. Just look on social media, look at what seems to be cool, try it out. You might find out that that guy's an idiot. Not the Full Tank Tactical guy, but the guy you thought had a good idea. Yeah, here we are all stuck together again with this Velcro here. So let's throw all that shit back down there again. What I'm looking for is where in here is this. I'm gonna put my hook Velcro on last. Do I have hook Velcro? Yeah. Yeah, I do. That hook Velcro there, I'm gonna put that on last because it grabs everything. So right now, just process of elimination. On the back, I'm going to come 2¼ inches down, right here. And this is just a piece of loop Velcro that runs almost the length of the width of the panel. And this is in here. If you're watching this and you use any of our micro rigs, do you guys actually use that Velcro inside? We used to put pockets and stuff inside, and then you were very limited and had to comply with the pocket. And over the years, we've transitioned everything to Velcro so that we can make you buy a lot more of our stuff. Not really. Most guys doing this, especially anybody getting issued gear, a lot of the kits and stuff will come with other small Velcro back pouches, and you will accumulate over time a bunch of Velcro backed pouches. So by putting the Velcro inside, you can simply put what you want in there in a manner and, you know, change it around as you need to. And there used to be a lot of concern that the Velcro wouldn't hold and it would get knocked off. And Velcro, it actually works very well. You will see blood, viscous fluid, kelp, the slime on kelp and algae a lot of times will catch in the Velcro. And then also when Velcro is frozen, when you open it, it won't reclose. So a lot of times you'll see stuff backed up with Fastex buckles or an alternative closure. Velcro is nice because it's fast, but it's loud, right? Noise discipline, security of the items, back it up with the Fastex buckle. Area of operation, undo the Fastex buckle, now you're just ripping Velcro. Then you have that buckle flapping around. What do you do with that? You know, there's every problem you solve creates 2 more issues. And maybe they're not issues. Okay, there's the piece inside. I have not put a micro rig together in so long. I'm just making sure I know where and what all my pieces here are. Let's go ahead and edge tape this now, because all the other pieces have to go on over the edge tape. So you see my binder, there it is. Okay. And again, the branding. And I wouldn't be surprised if you could order this wound the opposite direction if you're ordering, you know, quantities of it. We order case quantities. We've never been asked which way we want it wound, but you buy thread. I didn't know until recently that you can get thread wound clockwise or counterclockwise, so that this thread is wound the opposite direction of this thread. Some machines, I suppose that matters. I didn't know that it mattered. We just always dealt with that. And if I'm completely full of shit about why they're winding them opposite directions, correct me, inform me, let me know. All right, we're gonna run off the top edge first. Okay, there. Now you will see guys stitch back a couple stitches, and you'll see guys just come to the edge. What I'm going to do here is this, what this little screwdriver is for. This is what I use this for, among other things. I pull this up and I hold this down, and then I pivot. Now it popped back down. I'm going to push it back up. I'm going to hold this down. I'm going to turn that right there. I'm going to sew that, and it's almost a perfect 45-degree angle right there. Now on the bottom, not as perfect. I got that extra stitch where I walked it back, but we won't see that. I am applying a little tension here and also on the work. Now, here's how I normally do it. I push that up, hold this down, a little cleaner for me. And again. This used to be the higher lift machine, and now it doesn't lift as high because I had him adjust my other one and it goes way higher. I'm gonna have to get ready to see if we can get this foot higher. Now I'm burning this raw edge. You really don't need to, because I'm gonna conceal it. Now, when you're coming to the edge here, we used to start with a folded over edge and end with a folded over edge. I don't do none of that shit anymore. I'm not trying to conceal this and make this nice and clean. I'm gonna run this right past here, and I'm gonna run it right out. Why? Because I'm gonna take this, I'm I'm gonna sew this down inside, and it's gonna catch in this seam, and you're never gonna see it. And actually, the way we really do it is we run it horizontal, not vertical, and we catch it with the Velcro that we put on here, because this panel rips open and is in fact a pocket itself. That's the back. This is the back. This is the front. Let's go ahead and rip around here. Put the extra line in here, clean this up. So this will fray. So I want to clean this. I want to burn it up nice and clean. And I'm going to bring this, and I'm not bringing it straight up and down. I'm just barely kicking it in, so you're not going to see it. Just kick it like Kung Fu. Is there a song that says that? Kick it like Kung Fu?
If not, I mean, there should be.
Google me.
Okay, say it again.
Kick it, song. Kick it like Kung Fu. Kung Fu.
Are you sure you're not thinking of Kung Fu Fighting by Carl Douglas?
No, everybody knows Kung Fu Fighting. Those punches were fast as lightning. My vocal's not warmed up. I'm not able to hit that range yet. That's why I drum and sing. So I'm drumming. My drumming overpowers my vocals. You don't hear them while I'm in the process of warming up. So I like to do 3 things at once. Who's the best drummer in the world?
Best drummer in the entire world for me?
Drummer of Def Leppard's only got 1 arm.
Oh, I was about to say, it's different depending on everyone.
It's that chick.
Aaron Gillespie.
Is that her name?
No.
Aaron Gillespie?
That's who's my favorite drummer is.
Who's he drum for?
It's called The Almost.
The Almost. They're so awesome, I've never heard of them.
They are platinum selling artists.
In country music?
He writes a lot of popular country songs.
For real?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Ever heard of the band Under Oath?
Under Oath? No, I've been under oath many times.
He's the drummer singer for them.
I'm sure if I heard him, I'd be like, oh, yeah, totally.
He played for Paramore.
Okay, I know Paramore. I couldn't sing a Paramore song, but I know of the name. I'm sure if I heard the song, I wouldn't know they're Paramore, but I would recognize the song. What's that chick's name from Skillet? We don't know, but I send you her stuff all the time. I just love rap music and rock music that has female vocals in it. Not where the female is the lead vocal, but that female vocal comes in.
Jen Ledger.
Jen Ledger. I'll never remember her name. All right, we're gonna put our buckles, which I do not have. Okay, we're gonna take a break because John's got to pee, and we're gonna go get some buckles. We're gonna put this one, we need to mirror this opposite because this is a left hand, and this rig, I guess we should probably check. Does this rig need to be right hand? It does need to be right hand. So, magazines on this side. We're gonna go mags, utility. We don't even need the right utility if we already wrote mags. And the mag span is 2 inches each, I'm guessing. Yeah, 8 inches. So we will go utility here, mags here, 8 inches. Go ahead and run that down. Hopefully we have 6 left. We do. It's almost like we used a tape measure or a ruler. All right, height-wise, I am going to put the edge of this Velcro 2 inches down. Is that 2 inches from the edge? It is 2 inches from the top. these mags, we want 1 inch from the top. This right here is a patch of Velcro that is inside of the utility pocket. Am I out of thread? No, I'm just catching that tail. And it is here. It will perfectly hold a triple pistol mag card, Velcro back card, the index 3 pistol mags. It'll also perfectly hold a dual rifle so that you can hold 2 rifles indexed in place. And in this pocket, you can fit 4 perfectly, 4 PMags. So you would have 2 mags held up against, and then 2 more that are just loose in there. You can also put a pull-out med tray in here. You can put 2 full-size smokes will fit in here, and anything of that size. A box of shotgun shells will more than fit in here. Break this into 4 cells, 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6. I still have a piece of Velcro that needs to go in here too. You guys ever seen 5-inch Velcro? I've never seen 5-inch Velcro. We've got 4 and we have 6. Do we have 5-inch Velcro, Cody? But I've seen 5-inch elastic, so. I know somebody's wondering if I'm going to put a line down the middle of this 3-inch loop Velcro, and the answer is I am not. We're going to sew down here anyways. So, there. Okay. All right. I guess we better go ahead and get the hardware put on here before I sew something on that's going to be in the way of it. And that hook Velcro too. We could do it after the fact, but it'd be difficult. We need to get that on there. All right, the spacing on these is what, 7? 8. Spacing is 8, okay. I want my buckles on the front panel, not the back, because it will rip open. So I put the buckles here. This is what, 14, 12, 15, okay. Half. Seven and a half. I'll put that at 4 inches. Is it 4 on center or 4 to the edges? I think it's 4 to the edges. Yep, 8 inches, okay. All right, I'm just going to tack these. Normally I would just hold this in place and sew it down, but we have added these pieces on the inside. What this is this is the buckle for the top of the shoulder straps to clip into. And this piece of webbing back here you can cut this off and put a repair buckle here, and now you can use these rigs as a placard. You can attach it onto the front of your armor. You've been able to do that since about 2019. This has been here. Guys that know what that is, they know what that's there for. Guys that see it and they're not sure what it is, they're not going to use it. If you have armor that will attach to, you probably know that already. Not all armor carriers have that capability. The armor carrier that we're not going to build will have that capability. Nope. Snap. Inches. All right, this little loop of webbing right here. This loop of webbing sits here, right here. And then this one's here. To make this work, if you wanted to add an extender or a wing onto this, we've never put them out for sale. We've built a few of them over the years. We have a system that will lock in here and lock in right here, thus extending this so you would have radio over here or med pouch. We've never produced them for sale. This has been here for 5 years. Nobody's even asked, what's this loop of webbing for? That's what it's for. So they've been on everything we've made for years. So we'll go ahead and put this one on here, and you'll see right here what that looks like. It literally looks like a little loop of webbing because it's a little loop of webbing. Yeah. These ones here kick out, and that's it. 2 inches, yeah, that's inch. No, that's very closer. That's 1 inch. A lot of companies, you will see, if you were to cut the seams of the chest rig apart, these buckles are just in there in that stitching. I don't know that that's a problem. I've just always thought that I just wanted those backed up some, so I sew them in first to include all of our production rigs. We don't just fold this in half and then stick that in there. A lot of rigs we've seen over the years, that is how they do them though. If somehow you got the last stitches that went in the rig to come loose, I want the ones underneath there sewn independently. I do not know why that keeps cutting in reverse there. Okay, that's that. Let's get those other little tabs of webbing. Where are those? Right here. had that tail pull back up in here. So there's that. What am I missing? I need the 2 pull tabs.
It was just to help get that actually open for that panel.
That's what it's for. Yep, that's all it's for. You could stagger them if you want to. I don't. I just put mine all right in line. Why do I have smaller ones? What are those smaller ones for? Those are for the lower buckles. However, these will work equally well. We'll just bump that down just a hair. Go ahead and address this. I forgot to put the elastic and this webbing on the side. Man, I had that tail pulled out of there and I still got it sucked up in that bobbin. I don't know why it's doing that. All right, so these here, these little pieces of webbing, these are Powell's webbing. This is a single column of modular webbing so that on the outside of this mag pouch, where does this go? This is going to sit on the outside of this utility pocket. Utility pocket is right here, so it will be on this side. What is this? This is to attach a tourniquet, single pistol mag, or anything of the like, flashlight pouch or whatever there. And it basically, it's this webbing right here. So it sits on the back seam. We have plenty of room, even though I've already pleated this over. We'll get this, I think it is set 2 inches, 1.5 inches. So 1.5 inches down, right there. Just walking across the edge of that middle webbing there onto this one, and it travels nice and it spaces it properly. That gives me the proper spacing. I just use that 1-inch webbing as a gauge. Now these guys can attach pistol mag or whatever they want there. We've even seen guys put dual pistol mags on. They'll just attach it here and then it'll just kind of hang off on the side. Once it's on there and the rig is on, it works, even though I would prefer it to be mounted into 2 columns. Now this here, we're just going to go right to the sides of the grommet there. So right on center. We're going to put it here and here. This is a holdover. You used to be able to get pocket smokes. ALS made real smoke grenades and less than lethal rounds, and they also did pyro and demo stuff too, I believe. But anyways, they came out with this little tiny smoke grenade, just like a real military law enforcement smoke grenade, but it was small. And they were about this big around, and they dumped a good amount of smoke. And then the ATF decided that those were illegal, and they classified the fuse as a destructive device. We were friends with Mike Altman and the people over there at ALS originally, and we integrated this into all of our rigs to include being on the bottom of a lot of our magazine pouches and such. These are now very difficult to get. There are other options out there similar now that are not as good, but they still work. So I have thought for a long time we should eliminate this and probably just put a couple grommets here to let the end user run their own bungee with some pulls on them, so that you could put more appropriate size tourniquets or other devices under there should you want to. This is just a holdover. We should really probably stop putting this elastic there and put something a little more functional these days under there. I have not made any of these rigs in forever, so I'm not sure. And a lot of times when I design something, I get it how I want it to be and then I never build it again. So 1.5 inches is going to be our spacing here. So we do see guys put antennas through these. We see guys put tourniquets and, you know, a bundle of chem lights in there and stuff. But if we just give you grommets, you can put whatever you want there. We're going to sew this edge under a little bit to conceal the raw edge. And this edge, we cannot fold under. The bulk, it just won't sew through everything. Not well anyways. Plus it's cleaner. When I went in there to get buckles, they're making a ton of Rallyman pouches, several batches of them.
What's the #1 color you get of these? Is that like orders?
It doesn't matter. Whatever we don't have, somebody wants. Whatever we have, we sell out of pretty quick. We're running Woodland and Multicam today, I think. We'll sell less Multicam black, but they sell. All right, there's all the parts I forgot to put on are now on. So I have everything else accounted for. And this is going to conceal the raw edge and the last of that fold over where we fabricated that webbing there, where they meet. That's going to cover all that up. Just pop this thread. I don't know what in the world is cutting this.
Is it just weird tension in the area?
I don't know, man. No.
This isn't pulled.
No, it doesn't matter. It's just randomly doing it. I feel like this is kicking over and catching on the edge here, and that's what's popping it. Now, with that said, what is causing this thread to break? A lot of times you'll have some weird issue happen, and if you just keep sewing, it'll work itself out. And if you get good at rethreading that machine, you get fast at rethreading that machine, you most things that would be a problem for you or stop a lot of operators, it'll just work itself out. You can just rethread, rethread, rethread. You get good at that, it'll save you a lot of money, and it'll also keep you forward progress. A lot of times you'll see operators at factories and stuff, some of them are just little prima donnas, and they're like, oh my god, my machine broke thread a couple times, and they'll just get up and want a different machine, or they'll want a mechanic, and while the mechanic's messing with their machine for an hour and a half, she's on the clock and she's not producing. And if you have a few of those, that adds up, especially for a small business. So, learn how to rethread your machine. Sew through the problem, it'll usually smooth itself out. While I'm thinking about it, let's get a label put in here. Because I'm terrible about that. I'll forget the label. We've had guys get these things literally in other countries and want to send them back because I forgot to put the label on it. Oh look, a spam caller. Who the fuck are you and what do you want? Hello? Hello? Of course, there's no one there. Always.
They're currently going through your entire data.
Is that what happens?
I don't know. I'm always afraid to answer.
All right, there's those. Where will I put a label on these? I put the label inside the lid. And when the lid flaps open, we want to be able to read that. So let's put this right here. If we were too far into this build and forgot a label and there wasn't a good place to put it, we could put it just inside the lid of one of these mag lids, but those are removable. I typically like to have the label on a fixed piece of product. There are many times in surplus stores where we have found some pocket that's out of a kit and there's no label and you're not sure who made it, right? So forever, we've put labels on almost everything that can remove. So even like our medical backpack that comes with 6 mesh pockets, each of the mesh pockets has a label too. And we have often argued with, can we just stop putting that label in those pockets? It's all the tedious stuff that adds up. It's all this little stuff here at the end that I'm putting in that I hate doing. Like, I would build this whole rig and then give it to somebody else in the shop and be like, here, finish this up. I will sit for hours and listen to content or audiobooks or videos of something I'm interested in learning on the weekend sometimes, and just do production sewing. Same thing, I have sewers that I pay to do, and I'll just whip through batches, but I hate putting the faces, like I'm about to put the mag pouches on this panel. I hate doing that. I'll build 50, 60 single, double, triple, quad pistol mags, and then on Monday morning they'll just be on the sewing machines and they'll put the faces on. I hate putting labels in too, especially in quantity. I don't know why, but we order labels 10,000 at a time, and we are always out of labels. And I'm like, where's 10,000 pieces of equipment at? Like, where did it go? Same with zipper pulls, right? We'll order, 10,000, 20,000 zipper pulls, and it seems like every few weeks we're out of them. And I'm like, it doesn't look like we made 10,000 pieces of equipment. But Miranda points out, like, the tool bags take 4 zippers, and we build a lot of those. Okay. I think we're actually down to the last pieces. We definitely want to put our Velcro on to close the panel, because it's a lot easier than trying to once these mags are in place. So on the front, we put the hook. On the back, we put the loop. Do I have this in here? I do have this in here wrong. Okay, this is the back. This should have been over here. We have already sewn through it a lot. So I am going to go get another piece of Velcro, and this guy's rig is going to have Velcro on the front and the back. That would normally cost you $50 extra.
Yeah.
All right, all right, all right. Let me put this down. 2 1/4. All right, this should have been over here. I am also missing, I'm missing the big hook Velcro for the dangler. Don't let me close this all together without putting the Velcro on the back, because I don't have it here. Yeah, tell him I need the dangler, the Velcro for the back of the rig. He's gonna tell me he cut it, and maybe it's sitting around here, but I don't see it. I think it's hook.
Oh, yeah, it's a hook.
Has he acknowledged? All right. As you see, there are a lot of little pieces that go on here. And I think we're actually ready to put the final pieces on. I still need, don't let me forget because I always forget. I'm going to forget those side buckles, which is easy to cut the panel back open if we have to. The waist strap buckles and the Velcro for the back. That's what we are lacking.
He's not reading, so let's go get some hook.
We're not there. We can go ahead and put the pockets on here. That way if a meteorite hits us, when they recover that SD card, you'll at least know how to build this. You'll know how to build this rig. They're 5.5 inches. That good Nashville show is next weekend. Huh?
Snakes?
Yeah, reptile and reptile exotics and plants.
Yeah. That's the same one you guys went to.
The very first one. Yeah. Yeah, and then there's one in Jackson this weekend.
You got one of the Jackson?
I don't know. Probably just drop in there quickly.
That other Jackson was nice though, right?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
Which is so weird. It's like the ones you don't think are going to be good randomly, or just like, oh, that's actually
Yeah. Jim will be at the Nashville show, so we'll go and hang out with him for a while. And hang out, that means sit and talk for 10 minutes. And then
did you get any of the stuff for the new rat? Was that what those were supposed to be?
What?
The water things were supposed to be for the new rat racks?
Yeah, just because I haven't plumbed them up with the actual watering lines yet. So the quick solution is just water bottles, which sucks because you got to change them. You know, you got to fill them every couple days. Each bottle so you got 6 trays. Instead of just putting 5 gallons in the top bucket, you got to change each one. Not a huge deal. It was a quick solution. But I ordered, as you saw, 32-ounce bottles, and they sent me a bunch of 8-ounce bottles. I'm sure they're coming from China, and it's some logistics problem because we normally buy them from Tractor Supply, and when I went, they didn't have any normal size bottles, like the same size bottles we've used for rabbits for the last 30 years.
You guys don't have a Rural King, do you?
No, closest one's Clarksville. I do have 2 other Tractor Supplies near here, though, which is weird, right? That we have 3 Tractor Supplies within 30 minutes of here. They're the next Dollar General. I think Tractor Supply is owned by Dollar General now. I think we're going to find out that Walmart actually owns all of it. Huh? Did you say pangolin? The Velcro for the outside back of the panel, the hook.
I don't know. He said dangler when he said it to me.
Well,
Yeah.
I need the 11-inch piece of hook that is 6 inches wide. Yep. I'll take the loop while you're doing it. All right, what do we want this standoff to be? We'll just make that pleat to where it ends at 1/2 inch. If any of this terminology or anything I'm showing, we didn't zoom in on it close enough or whatever, buy a rig. Then you'll have a perfect example in front of you. And if there's something you want to build, man, buy a rig, like for real. Not necessarily from me or whatever. Buy a rig. You can buy surplus stuff. You can buy shit off Amazon to, get your patterns to figure out how to build an item. You don't have to make that exact item, but I mean, there are many times when I just needed a visual where we would get some product from a surplus store or whatever, and then figure out how to, fix the flaws with it or, bedazzle it differently, whatever. Our day pack, I have a whole video on our YouTube channel. Our day pack came from patterning out a JanSport bag. And the JanSport bags are, not known to be very rugged any longer. Kids tear them up every year or so. But I took those patterns and then adjusted them and enlarged the pattern to have more seam allowance, and then reinforced the weak spots. And we've been building my day pack for at least probably 10 years now, and we've not seen any of them fail or come apart. So JanSport easily could have fixed their issue, but I don't think they worry about it. I think that they're just such a big company building so much offshore stuff. If they even have a warranty, if they are, it's cheaper for them to just replace than to repair. Sewing backwards through thick stuff's where you're going to knock that machine out of time. So just turn your project around and sew forward if there's a concern. If you don't have finesse yet. And right here, I'm at 4 layers, 8, 12 layers of material here. I actually need to unstitch because I sewed too far down. I need to have this pleat up in there. And I should not be doing that left-handed. Thanks. Let's actually walk this back. And I've knocked that thing off that table so many times today. Go ahead and tack this in place and then make that pleat over. All right, there we go. So right here I'm sewing through 4, 8, 12, 13, 14 layers of material plus this layer of webbing right here. Now I've already sewed the shit out of the top here, so I'm not too worried about that. Let's come back here and catch this. What are you guys going to do this weekend? That good? Huh?
Oh, yeah.
I heard you're coming to Nashville for a reptile show.
This weekend?
Next weekend. Yeah, you're right, next weekend.
What is this weekend? It's the 18th.
Your wife said, I'm getting me a snake.
Oh, yeah.
That's what she said.
I highly doubt.
And I said, I don't think you are. And she said, yes, I am. I'm just going to tack this into place right here so I don't have any shift. I'm going to bring this here. You can see what I'm doing here is I've got a good solid inch folded over. Can you see it from this side? You can probably see it better. Right here. That's the same thing I have here. So I have a mark here, 1 inch inboard right there. So I'm gonna actually bring this in just a little more. I want the same amount here that I have here, or close to it. And that's mostly for aesthetics. And where those pleats are inboard, horizontal and vertical, we can now pop this out. It gives us a nice squared out box right there, just like so. You got a patch of Velcro in there, so you can index some magazines or put whatever you want in there. We've seen guys put Velcro adjustable holsters. You got to cut them a little with a hot knife, but you can do a cross draw holster in there, whatever you want. We've seen guys put pistols in there over the years. They used to do it a lot. Now with Kydex and everything, you don't really have to do that. But now we will put these mags on here. Just giving me a mark here to kind of sew on. And do I have pleats in these? Put these mag pouches on here. Because I have so much bulk on the inside here, rather than flipping this around, I'm just gonna go back to the top and then sew all the way back down, get another line of stitching in here. This, I don't know if this is right. This looks, I guess it is. I need that a little higher. I've got two lines on the bottom here. I've got a green line and a gray line, and the green line is the final line. The gray line is where I want the bottom of this, because when we fold this up, I want to be able to sew across the bottom also. When you pull on that, you're stretching the material. You want just enough to expose the stitches, and you want to nick the stitches, not the material. There we go. Keep in mind too, where it sits at the top and the bottom as you sew this, it will pucker up the material, or if you pull on it, it will stretch out the material. So there's all that bulk on the inside I was talking about. We're getting close to the finish here, guys. Just about probably 3 more hours to go. Not really. so much bulk there, it was tracking, then it fell off and kicked in a little bit there. That's where all that layer of material is. All right. Now, I am pleating these flat here across the bottom, which means the mag will go in here and push right here. You could pleat this here to where this basically does like this. You could also run webbing under here as a cradle, like we're doing on some of our 308 stuff and our 556 stuff, which makes for a more compact pouch. These, what that means is the mag would sit about an inch deeper in there. At some point we might completely revamp this rig, but that day is not today. And then when you make your pleats on a pouch like this, I'm basically coming right off this 1.5 inches, and that's where my pleats are, and they're equal on both sides. Most of that is for aesthetics, so it looks equal and even on both sides. You will see guys, when they sew these, they kind of are bigger on one side than the other. It's usually the direction they're traveling. When I was hemming it, I'd gone off. There we are. I've gone forward and back tacked. I've got 3 lines of stitching over all those pleats. Still need to put the Velcro on the back and the what?
The little buckles on the...
Yeah, the buckles for the waist strap. Yep, that's what I was going to say. All right, basically looks like this. Looks the same as it always has. Same as it ever was. We just have a little bit more meat, a little more room for potatoes in each of those pouches there. All right, we're running it right on the edge tape there. little bit of pillow in there. Not sure how I got that. So what was the answer? Gatlinburg this weekend?
She didn't answer me.
Oh, you asked?
Yeah, I did.
You asked the women's this. All right.
Little buckles.
Yep. Little buckles. Tiny bubbles. Are we even where we want this to be? Yes. All right. So when I close this lid, I want to tack it. Well, not the lid, but the panel. I want to tack it, and I'm going to kick it in and tack it also. And I'm going to travel down. Now I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And be cognizant that both of your legs of webbing, both of your pieces of webbing folded over are inside, because we have seen rigs finish up and there'll be a nice strip of webbing on the outside, not on the inside. I'm going to tack this over. Not that it needs it, but just in case it ever. I'm going to do the same thing over here. But because of all that bulk, I'm going to start right here, and I'm just going to tack this in. I'm going to kick it over, tack it in. Get that out of the way. Between the layers, not one on the back. There we go. I don't want to sew backwards through all that bulk, so I'm going to run one more forward stitch through here. And This rig is done. Done, son. That pancake's done. All right, let's get this in place before we drop this on the ground or something and get all kinds of thread up in here. There we go. There's that. There's all kinds of ways you can do this. You can put a piece of cardboard or something in there and put it where you want it and adjust it. I just put the edge of the Velcro to that edge of the Velcro and then just run it in there. You can use a piece of PVC pipe, small dowel, whatever, your finger, if you got really long fingers. And you can see this goes to here. There are a couple more inches till you get to the bottom, and you could even go further, fold this under. You got about 3 inches you can adjust down, and with it right where I'm putting these, you could come out several more inches and still have 3 inches of purchase inside. There we go. I have apparently put that Velcro on the wrong side somehow. Let's fix that. All right. I feel like we cut this off of here already.
It might be the one that you changed.
I think it is. And then I put it back on the way I want it, the way it should have been, but it needs to be backwards. I'll show you what I mean by that. Because I folded, I put the top Velcro on the wrong side. So that seam right there,
Yeah.
which won't matter. Nobody will ever know that's there. There we go. And that is what that rig looks like now. You can put it down low. A lot of guys want it higher. Depends what's on your belt, what it's interfering with on the belt line. there's that. Just like so. Let's go put a bunch of cool shit in there and you can take some awesome epic B-roll. What's up, Subgun Micro Rig? When you're out ninjaing it up with the Subgun, we had some guys saying that they didn't fit the newer MPX mags. We have added some room into these mag cell slots. They now fit the MPX, and then the smallest mags you're gonna put in there are probably Glock mags. They'll fit all of your other Subgun as far as we know. They will not fit the P90 mags. The FNP90 will not fit. We do have a rig called the FNP90 rig. They'll fit in there, but this will hold everything else that you're gonna wanna put in there.